As you can see, the apples are growing really well. These are the Delbar that we planted in January. So they are producing superb for young trees, as we got between 10 and 20 apples on every tree. And that's a lot, but every tree is going over 10. That just is a lot of apples. And it's really good for young trees. Or at least it's a really good production for young trees. Now it also means these apples have come to size quite well already. So it means we will need to harvest them soon. So it's about time that we get the pluk traks out and prepare them for harvest. So I want to have everything ready to go for harvest when harvest starts. Machines have been sitting here for the whole winter. I only got them out to make the new sail zone, but now we're gonna get them out and get them ready for harvest. So at the same time, it's above 30 degrees Celsius. It's just really hot and the apples start to burn. So we have started our sprinklers to prevent that the apples burn. So basically we are just sprinkling over top, and that is only to cool the apples down, because if we cool the surface then they don't burn. And that's really important because burnt apples cannot be sold. Alright, so now it's time to see if all the belts run as they should be. That's definitely not working. So this machine is a running machine for the winter, and you can see that it has been outside for the whole winter. Main belt was stuck, wind table belt was off, and there's a lot of junk coming out of the back of the machine. So you can definitely tell if the machine has been outside for the whole winter. But now everything seems to go around, so that's a good sign. Then we can go check on all the belts. We have to replace the oil and so on. Now we need to get the other two going as well. So carefully start them up and see what happens. And that runs straight away. So that's really nice. If you store the machines inside properly, then everything stays perfectly and you are good to go. So this machine is fine. I do have to check all the belts, but I do that after it ran for a bit, because if the belts crack over winter, then it will show after half an hour or so of running. Now, third machine. Also without any issues. Another thing that I always do straight away is I fill them up with new petrol. So I add it to the old petrol, because this is E10 petrol. It means it has 10% ethanol to it, and the engines don't like it, and it especially doesn't like to stand still for a whole year. So it's really important to fuel them up straight away with new fuel. That way I know everything is a bit more fresh and hopefully it's gonna keep running. Alright, so I think the oil has warmed up, so we can shut down the machines and then drain the oil, because we need warm oil to drain it, and the warmer it is, the better. Alright, so here we got a belt which is worn out completely. And this is a running pluk track, so it worked for the whole winter. And you can see it, this belt, it even twisted around, but somehow it got basically eaten by the machine. And we need to replace it, because this will slip during harvest and eventually cause the machine to not drive forward anymore, or even completely stop driving at all. And it's just annoying. It should be perfect with driving, otherwise picking is going way less efficient. So we have to replace this, so let's do that. Alright, I managed to drive it on, so this was about 1 minute of work, but we replaced it. And I hope this is gonna last for a few seasons again. But this is one of our hardest wearing belts, because it gets such a high torque on it, because the whole machine has to drive on it. So the belts seem to be in good enough shape. They are not like new, they are used. But it does seem to me that they can run for this season, or at least for a few weeks. And if we run into trouble then I can fix it anyway. We got a backup machine, so machine number 3 here is always a backup. And that way, even if something breaks, then it doesn't really bother that much, because I got time to fix it, but I can also fix it fairly quickly, usually. And yeah, everything is looking perfectly. So I'm gonna oil it up a bit and then it should be good. Alright, so all 3 machines are ready for harvest. So we got all the V-belts checked, the engines are checked, they are fueled up. We checked all the conveyors, we checked the bin tables, tires are good, hoof spark. I haven't checked the radios. The radios need to work, otherwise we get complaints about that straight away. That one works. Then we're completely ready. I also added the beams on the back for the bin trailers. That way we can attach the bin trailers, or just a frame for one bin when we do the summer varieties with just a few apples. Now we can put them inside until harvest and then we can start to use them. Well, I got a trail maker out of the shed, and the reason for that is we had a disc on there, but that was already the number 4, as the previous 3 they all split, as the metal was just too thin. Probably they were worn out too much, but also the metal was too weak. So I've been looking on the internet for a long time, and I finally came up with this wheel, and it's just an absolute perfect replacement. It's completely solid steel. It looks really old-fashioned, but it does the job really well. So I made this one today, and it cuts a perfect wheel like the other one did. It's just that this one doesn't wear out. It will take many years before this one is worn out. During the planting last spring, we noticed that this forklift was quite a bit sloppy, and we decided it might be time to just fix it up, as the bushings seem to be completely short, and this forklift often lifted over 1500 kilos while it's rated for 1500, and it's 30 years old, so it's a good thing to take it apart and look through all the parts and see if we can replace all the wear parts, as we like a forklift which is stiff and doesn't have too much play. That way the bins travel way safer. I got the forklift back in the workshop, and that's because we got the parts which we require, at least some, because they were asking a ridiculous price to get me the parts. So I figured I'd get my own route to get this stuff. So we got 4 of these rollers, and we got them together with a bronze bushing which has to go inside, so we have to press them in and then they go over the old part. And we got new sliders. Unfortunately the rest I didn't have it. They were just charging me a ridiculous amount of money to all the dealerships where I had to go to, so I decided, well, we're not doing that, because this forklift, it only lifts a few bins every year. It just needs to work properly. So we are gonna restore it, but on a budget way. That means some of the old parts go back and some of the new parts go in. And where I can, of course, I will try to make it better. But I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of money on an old forklift. So we do it the budget way. Now let's get this stuff installed. So we got new rollers, but I use the old sliders, as the sliders were just too expensive to get in, and I rather fix these up by welding a bit more wearing metal on them than paying an overpriced item to get it here. So that's the way we do it, and hopefully it will last for a long time again when I fix it up by welding. Now that we got the parts, let's install them back onto the forklift so we can put this away again, as it's standing in my way and I really want to have this fixed. So let's put it together. So we are approaching the time of harvest. So we already been picking summer varieties since the end of July, and in the next video we will go on harvesting apples, as the Alstrane conference will be ripe by then, and we have to go picking. If you enjoyed watching this video, then don't forget to like, share and subscribe so you get a notification when the next video comes online. Harvest is about to start, so a lot more videos will follow. Thank you for watching.